okay?
Yes, your hair is okay.
Here we go.
Righto. Chris, Brook, Vee Two Australia, we're back. Project 860. We're down to do the heads now. Well, this is the last part of the disassembly process and talking about things to find, look for, and whatnot. Yep. This is a Springer head, not Desmo. Seeing it's a GTS. There's only the two of us, so I'm going to be behind the camera, and Brook's going to be by himself in front of the camera. You'll be right.
I've got you to hold.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, go.
Righto. So, like Chris said, we're going to pull this head apart. It's the last bit of that 860 that we need to disassemble, and it's a Springer. We will do a Desmo head, but this is off that bike, which is obviously a spring head. So, really, they're reasonably simple. There's a couple of things that we check on disassembly so that we've got a bit of an idea when we go to put it back together. And we've talked about these bevel gears and how they're set up with the grind marks in them. And I would just check that, and because it's a Springer, it's obviously a bit hard to turn, but that's okay. So we've got the timing marks. The timing marks line the dots up, which is going to be there. So we can the two dots in here are lined up, and then we'll find the grind marks, which are going to be there. A bit hard to see, I think, but there they are, right there. So they're the grind marks, and I can see that they are reasonable, pretty good actually. Surprisingly, this is whoever put this together last time didn't do a too bad a job, so that's pretty good. So if they were miles out, I would make a note and put it with the things I want to go back, put it back together on. I know what I'm looking for. So that's really all we need to pre-check, so it can come apart. We'll get the tapper covers off, and then we've got to take the springs out, the rockers, and see what we find. The spring heads can tend to crack across the exhaust port, which is sort of not super uncommon, but actually normally on the rear exhaust, it's not uncommon for them to crack. Plenty of celastic in here, which is sort of part of the. Oh yeah, plenty of celastic. That's good. That's pretty typical. We don't like using that, but plenty of people do.
Forgive my dodgy camera work, but
celastic has its place, but it certainly is not in cylinder heads of this thing. Yeah, well, I mean, it's got the adjustable rockers, which the 860s had, which is probably a good thing. Makes it easier to service at home, and that's what when they made these things, that was what they were aiming for. So in here we've got the two pins for the rockers. So we'll pull those out. I've got my slide hammer here.
Wrong way. Yep.
We're going to pull that pin out, slide it out, and pull the rocker out, and put all the shims and whatever. Get a magnet and put all the little shims that come out of here on the spindle. On the other side, it's on the 860. They've got a spring washer that loads the rocker the correct way to push it, to keep it one side. So now we can look at this. So that's not bad, Chris. That's that rocker's been oh no, she's dead. That's been reconditioned, but the chrome is starting to lift in here. You can see it's starting to come off, so that'll need. This is reclaimable. It's not gone too far, so we'll be able to put another re-chromed rocker on it. We'll recondition that rocker. And these little balls here, these little balls that pivot like that, they can give trouble. That one looks all right. They can actually turn around completely around, and they wear a flat on the other side and they destroy themselves. But that's actually, I mean, whoever's been working on it has done a reasonably good job. So that's good, that's ready to go. We'll do the same on this rocker. So the exhaust needs replating, and we'll pull that out and pull our shims and stuff out. Just be careful where they go. And drop that on the floor, which is pretty normal. Get that. So we're gonna spring in there, and we're gonna put that one there. Actually, that one is okay, I think. Oh no, it's gone as well. It's really, I mean, that is my gut feeling is that that's sort of a bit of an issue with whoever plated it at the time.
So you reckon that's been redone?
100% that's been replated, yeah.
Yeah,
that's been replated. But it's, we're going to have to do them again.
Yeah.
Which is what I would have expected anyway, so no surprises there. Okay, so the camshaft can come out now. In fact, we've got this is again left-hand thread here, so we do it up to undo it.
We cracked those in the very first episode on it.
We did.
Before we pulled everything apart.
That's that, and we'll take these out. Take that bevel gear out. Take this, knock this bevel gear down so I can take the other one off. Those, and tap this down. Wow, they glued that on good. There she goes. So whatever they've used on that isn't Celastic because it's held. Oh yeah, well there is Celastic in there too. God. I don't know. Yeah, well we'll have to replace that. It's been cracked anyway.
Yeah.
We'll change that. But this bearing in here is quite a very, very special bearing. It's a double row bearing, and it is designed to hold. It's a thrust bearing in both directions, so it'll take thrust this way and that way, which a normal ball race won't do. So it's a double row. It's a double row angular contact, but it's also a self-aligning bearing. So this it can move like that. That's what it's supposed to do, but it's not supposed to have any lateral movement, which this has got a little bit, but honestly, this has definitely been rebuilt, and definitely that bearing's been replaced, because normally that bearing would be really, really loose.
Right.
So the fact that that's moving up and down will allow the bevel to go move up and down when it's running.
Yep.
And so obviously we're going to replace that anyway, but that'll affect. That's supposed to be shimmed. It has to be shimmed in exactly the right place for the grind marks to line up and for the teeth to be meshing properly. And if it's moving up and down, then obviously it can't keep doing that. So
yeah,
and it can destroy itself. So yeah, that's I wouldn't say it's the best design, but look, it does work. And but those bearings do wear out really quickly, and they always need replacing. So this is our bevel gear, should slide off, the mating one, and that'll have shims behind it, and it'll have a key in there, which is there, which will come out. Pretty simple. And our shims in here. What I do with these is key can go down there, but the bevel, we need to make sure that those shims and this bevel need to be kept together so that they don't get mixed up with the other head or with any other bevels, because these are matched pairs.
Okay.
And you can look, you can run them changing one, not the other, but don't normally.
Not best practice.
Not best practice. That's right, Chris. Not best practice. But sometimes you have to do it if you don't have the part or the guy doesn't have the money or whatever, but it's not, wow, I don't know what's going on there, but
Tight.
they're, I think, quite, they're a bit, they feel like they're full of elastic to me. I don't know. That'll come off. And there's so there's two bearings here. There's an outer bearing in here, which is a common garden deep groove ball, which is nothing special, and then there's another one in the cylinder head in here, so that there's two bearings to support the camshaft. And because there's two bearings and the nut pulls all that together, it has an inner crush tube, which is this one. That's your inner crush tube, which is going to go on there.
Ah, okay.
And the other bearing is obviously sitting in the head, which we'll take out. And then it's got an outer crush tube, which is in here. We'll have to get that out. Okay, so we'll just slide this camshaft out. There, our camshaft. And that's actually that doesn't look too bad, Chris. It's, yeah, certainly this thing there's bits of it that are in reasonable condition. Yeah. Whether we change, we might put a different camshaft in it.
I'll put one of our little hot rod cams,
we've got quite a few street cams, like street track cams, which
yep.
You know, I mean, these aren't a performance engine really, but I mean, you can definitely make them a little bit more tractable. The cam that we would put in a bike like this would be like a higher torque cam, so it's got more mid-range.
Yeah.
Not for racing a high RPM, but more mid-range. Makes it nicer to ride. But in the natural fact, that cam's not too bad. And this bearing in here, we're going to take out. This is the bearing that was is on the inner, and I can show you how. There she goes. I've got a special tool to assemble the bearings and the crush tubes when we assemble the engine. I'll knock this middle crush tube out and I can show you how that goes as an assembly, which is, of course, the cylinder head itself does act as part of the crush tube. So this is our camshaft, and we've got that one, and that bearing sitting in the head there. Mm-hmm. There's a crush tube in there, like that, and this, when this goes on, that crush tube hits up on that bearing. So that's the inner crush tube setup.
Yep.
And then this is the outer, which is sitting in the cylinder head, and that's sitting on so that's going to hit on the outside of the race.
Okay.
That's going to hit on the outside of the race. And when that goes together, when you put the bevel gear on here and tighten that up, that is the crush tube, that's the crush assembly. And you tighten that nut up, that's going to pull all that together. And if these crush tubes have been spinning, or they've been loose, or they're not set properly from the beginning, then when you tighten that nut up, it will either the bearing won't have enough load to keep it from being loose, from being have inflow in it.
Yep.
If it's too tight, the two inner races will pull together and the bearings will chop out prematurely. So you need to make sure when we put it together, you'll see. But when we lock that nut up, we're going to make sure that this still spins freely, but has not got any movement in the bearing. So they don't normally need much adjusting, but I always check them because, you know, these can be wrong. And the gasket, that's the other thing about this thing, is that the gasket itself, which is going on here, this gasket forms part of the crush tube.
Okay.
Because that's how it is.
Yep.
And if you don't, we make those gaskets in different thicknesses. So yeah, it's just little things like that will make the engine be nice and quiet, last longer, whatever. So it's important that all those all those things are looked at. And this is so typical of particularly bevel drives, twins, well, even the singles, of course. But you normally wouldn't have to check all that stuff on a motorcycle engine or an engine, but these things you do, because they put something in there that is going to affect the way that it goes, and people just, we'll put your gasket in it, and
not thinking that there's different thicknesses.
Inadvertently put, you've got a 0.5 gasket instead of a 0.3 because that's what they supplied, and you don't think that that's going to make a difference, and it does. So you got to just check it. Righto. So we're going to pull these valves. We're going to take these valve springs out and check the. I mean, we're going to change. We're going to change the seats and guides in this thing anyway, because we're going to convert it to unleaded, to be able to run on unleaded fuel, of course. I'm just tapping that. That's the taper. That's the taper on the collet, just locking on, and I put a bit of load on it, and then I'm breaking the taper, and screw this down, and get my little magnet wherever I put it here, and I'll pull these out like that. Two little tapered collets.
Totally different.
Oh, totally different
ones.
I mean, this is just basically the same as an Austin A40. It's, it really is, old technology, and mind you, they still use the same setup on the late model bikes.
Can you imagine how small they would be on a say a 5-valve Yamaha?
Oh yeah, I mean even the multi-stroke, like the V4s with, they're tiny, like just really tiny. So this engine has got single valve springs in it. Again, we'll check what they are, but the factory did fit double valve springs on certain engines. This one has got single valve springs. To be honest, I use single valve springs. They give enough trouble in the rocker department with the chrome not being that good, and putting double valve springs in them. People aren't revving them and racing them, so they don't need double valve springs.
And it's more load on the rockers.
More load on the whole headgear and the whole thing. So the 750 GTs never had double valve springs.
Did sports?
The Sport never had double. Oh, maybe. I think some of the later sports did, but I've never had any problem with single valve springs with any of the cams that they use. So this has got the top hat valve seals on it, and they are rock hard. Like they are like incredibly hard. So, which is again something that happens to them. The seals go really hard. I mean that's like bloody concrete. Look at it. It's just split, and it's these. If this engine was run for that much for long, see that's got no. That's supposed to be soft rubber, and it is just rock hard. And between the heat and the oil and that's what they go like, and it's not uncommon to pull that off and find all this floating around inside the spring, like they fall to bits, and that they start smoking, and people think the rings are gone and all this sort of stuff.
Well,
it's that seal that fails.
This is a good example of it's a great engine. It's a good engine, right? But it's been sitting whatever.
It's been there. This thing sat for 20 years.
Yeah. So if you buy something off the internet, sight unseen.
Yeah.
This is what you're likely to find, isn't it?
And people ring us and ask us, what do you think? And it's a bit of a hard call, really, because you know it's going to be like that, and you sort of say, well, it's probably okay, but all the O-rings that seal in the head here are going to be hard and like that, and it's hard to buy an old bike like this and jump on it and start riding it and expect it to be reliable and not leak oil and not smoke, and because all these rubbers and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they probably didn't use the best material compared to what's around today. So we're talking about 40-year-old engine.
Well, that's exactly right.
So there we go. That's the exhaust, and again, man, that is really rock hard. So yeah, that seal has got absolutely no grip at all on the valve stem. It just, I can't even feel. You can't even feel it.
Yeah.
Grab it. So I mean, it's absolutely got no elasticity in it all, and it's like I said, it's like bloody concrete. Yeah, look at it. That one's the same as the other one. So it's look at it, it's just shattered into a million pieces.
Yeah.
So she was definitely due anyway. So the valve guides we're going to change anyway. The valves, actually these valves are not that. These are actually quite a good valve. Some of the early, it's funny, they actually heat treated the early stuff, 750 GTs and 860 stuff. They see how the stem is black. These are genuine valves, and they're actually quite good quality. And they heat treated the whole thing. It's nitrided, which is what we do with all our valves. All our valves are made out of 21-4N stainless, which is a high quality valve material, and we nitride them. When they're finished, we nitride the whole valve, so the face gets done, the stem gets done. Whereas for many years, probably I would say 78, 79, they sort of stopped doing that, and they put a chrome stem valve in it, which is soft. The chrome's not soft, but they're flash chromed, and that wears off really quickly. And then the valve is soft underneath, and this collet step here can wear, but more so on the Desmos it's a problem because the collet groove, I'll explain that later, but this mechanism of having a taper on here, two tapered collets like that, and then this taper inside that cap there that grabs it, the more load that goes on that and pulling it up, the harder that collet will grab and clamp onto the valve, which is pretty well how all valves are. And that is a problem with the Desmos in bevel drives, because the collet is actually not clamped. It doesn't matter how much load goes on this, the collet does not clamp onto the valve, and that's a real problem. So the collet is actually in shear all the time, and that's why the shims go out. Ducati have come up with a mechanism, a way of putting a tapered collet on a Desmo valve, and that's why they are able to offer, the cylinder heads don't need servicing for
24,000 Ks,
20 or 40,000 Ks. That they just don't go out, and they first started using it on the titanium valves, because a titanium valve would not even last 5 minutes with the normal Desmo collet. But the R series, they all run titanium valves on the exhaust, on the inlet, not so much on the exhaust, but some of them are the race bikes on both. But a road bike with first service intervals at 30,000 Ks, like a late model car, I mean, it just wouldn't get there with the original collet system, which they used to run. And so they designed this tapered collet, which is what we use in our race bikes and our performance heads on titanium valves, and it's a very, very good system. So Ducati did actually fix that problem, and we use those collets and we use those collets and that valve clamping design on our race bikes and our performance on the heads. But on the road stuff, it's still, as long as if the valve if the valve is heat treated and hardened in the collet groove, they last pretty good. They do last pretty good. But, and even the Ducati ones did back, you know, like a, I think like a 77 Dharma or an SS, they had hardened valves and they were a lot better. But the later ones, when they went to the chrome stem with the soft things, they really do wear and go out of service. They go out of service sizing really quickly. So the other thing here is that I don't know what's going on there, Chris, but there's something weird going on there. See that line in there?
Oh, is that a mark?
Well, I don't know.
It
looks like almost like a flaw in the casting, but we'll worry about that when we get the valve seat out.
It does too.
So this is something else that the factory did on these engines, which I could never really understand why, and it's a very retro step. You see the valve seat is a long way down in the chamber, so the valves are low. When we redo this, the valve will be up here when it starts, so it'll be up there and there, on which in actual fact will make the thing run a lot better, because the way that the factory did it, and they sunk these valves a long way into the head, the valve or the camshaft has to lift the valve like, you know, a reasonable percentage of the lift before it's unshrouded by the head. Whereas if it started lifting, if it was there and started lifting from there, it would create a much bigger curtain around here that would allow it to flow the gas. And the same on the exhaust. If it starts lifting here, as soon as it starts lifting, it's got a much bigger area where the gas can flow. So by having them sunk, that's going to decrease performance. It's going to generate heat. It's going to have less compression, and
there's still plenty of room for the valves are never going to hit each other.
Huge amount of room. It gives a little bit more pressure on the valve springs, which is why we don't run twin springs. But it just makes them run nicer and go a little bit better, and and it gives you a lot more life in the valve seat, because you've got another couple of mil to clean the seats up over its life before they're too low to use. So I don't buy a standard when you could buy original seats and fit them yourself, or someone could fit them for you. They came machined like that, already machined down. So I don't know why they did it, but they did, and it's something that we fix. This is where they crack, and I don't think that one is cracked, but they crack across. They crack across this area, because this area here is, I've got my finger in here and there, that you put that's actually quite thin there. That's very thin, and there's a lot of heat generated in the exhaust, and the rear exhausts do crack bad, but that one, I'm thinking it doesn't look that good. Oh, no, I think it's all right. So if it was cracked, you'd see it when you clean the carbon off. I think it's all right. Man, I think it's all right. I've actually had them crack when you put a new seat in. So you actually fit a new seat, let the head cool down, and it'll crack. And it's a pain, because you've got to pull it all out again and then weld it up and start again. But if it's not cracked, you can only hope that it's okay. And sometimes they do crack, and not very often, but they do it. So there you go. So I don't know. Have we done removal of valve seats?
Not really yet.
Right. Well,
I think we might have done something with, but we should do that again.
So to remove the valve seats and remove the guides and measure the holes and is another episode, another thing, and there's quite a bit in that, and I'll explain how much interference we give them and why, and how we make the seat. We do have machined seats ready to go in a standard hole, but often when we take the seat out, it won't necessarily, the hole where the seat goes in won't necessarily be the right size, so we have oversize and we machine each one to suit if we need to. Same with the guides. When the guides come out, we check the guide hole, see what it is, and then make a guide to suit. We do have standard sizes in different steps, but it's not uncommon for us to have to make a guide to suit or make a seat to suit to make it actually fit that head perfectly. So there you go. Well,
one question.
Yes.
How often do you find the thread for the exhaust damaged?
No, yes, that's a good question, because they do definitely wear out, and unfortunately, what happens is they come loose. They can come loose, and people keep riding it, and when they come loose, when you turn the throttle off, they'll backfire on overrun, and that's a sure sign that it's got an exhaust leak, and chances are it's coming from here. The gaskets aren't copper; they've got, I guess in the day, asbestos, but they've got an asbestos substitute for them in now, and they do crush up. And that's interesting. That one's got 2 in it. That one there looks like it's been in there for
forever.
But it has got 2 gaskets, I'm sure. So there you go. Wow, that's been in there a while.
Now I wonder when we do the valve seats and guides whether we could get John on camera for that sort of stuff, because he's a little bit self-conscious, you know.
Yeah, well, not like you then.
No, shit, no.
No.
But John's got hair.
I've noticed it. Yes, he's got a lot of hair.
Yeah, you got a lot of hair.
Yes. And he doesn't wear a hairnet when he's working the machine either.
No. When you're as bald as me, you can't be self-conscious. Like.
No. But anyway, there you go.
What are you saying?
So that thread actually doesn't look real flash up in there. Maybe that's why they put 2 in it. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, once it's blasted, we'll see. But look, like you said, these threads can give trouble. You need to check them. And I have a jig that I made 40 years ago, where the head goes in the lathe, and you actually rotate. So this goes central, and you actually spin the head, and we machine that out. And there's 2 ways of doing it. You can either weld it up and re-screw cut it back to standard, but that's certainly one way of doing it. Or what we used to do and still can do is we bore it out, screw cut it, and put a bronze insert in it, that is actually better, because the bronze is stronger than the aluminium when you're screwing the nut in, and it doesn't come loose as easy as an aluminium thread does.
Okay.
So the bronze insert is keyed into here and pinned so it can't move.
Okay.
And then you're screwing your nut into a bronze thread, not a aluminium thread.
Okay.
And they stay tighter, far better than aluminium does. We do that on Norton Commandos as well. Same thing, and singles. So it's quite a common thing to do, and it definitely makes them better. So there you go. We're due for another cup of tea.
Yep.
And
how do you feel you went?
The last one you made, you mean?
No, not that. You're very particular with your cup of teas, but how do you think you went today without me holding your hand?
Oh, breezed it in, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just absolutely perfect. No problem. Well, I did miss
you are full of shit. No, you did a good job. Okay, everyone, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
And please like and subscribe. Really, from now, we're on the road to putting it back together.
Yeah, a little bit of disassembly still, and probably
get bearings out of the cases and stuff.
Let me warn you, there is going to be a lot of technical engineering style detail, because there's just so much in these engines that they're actually quite simple if you understand how they work and what matters. And that's what my aim is to show people, that if you just put them together properly and know what you're looking for, it's not that hard, and they will be reliable and they'll keep going forever. They're not a bad engine, as long as you fix those little Achilles heels that are there that people expect to be right, but in actual fact they're not. So there you go.
Well, it's funny. I've just, the last thing is I've got to do a shout out to my mate Jez, because he's he's a Z900 guru, right? Yeah. And he's been watching our videos, enjoys them, enjoys the technical aspect of it, and he says, geez, they're a pretty rough engine compared to a Z900, aren't they?
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. I mean, you know, you can throw an Z9 together and they're built to go together and not have to muck around checking that the gasket is a different thickness to the last one. It don't matter if it's thick or thin, it'll work. Because they just didn't do things like that. But unfortunately, these engines, along with lots of other European engines, I'm not going to say, I guess Italian as well, Alfa Romeos, you know, you got to be careful when you change the gasket that you've got the right thickness gasket, because that'll affect something else that'll make the thing blow up.
They sound good though, don't they?
They do sound good. They do sound good.
Righto, enough bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah. See you next time.
Thank you. Ciao.